was supposed to meet the commander there for a special briefing item. So I went down. Here he had this kid standing up with a noose around his neck on a two-legged stool. And this guy had gone AWOL. He got homesick. He traveled about 75 miles to get home. The unit finally returned home. They arrested this guy and were going to execute him. And they were going to give me the honor to go ahead and kick the stool out from the guy. You know, just an honor for me. Hey, that's just killing somebody. No, I won't do it. He says, well, he enemy. Gave me his 45. Said, shoot him. I said, no, I can't do that. He enemy. So we finally took all his boys in line and says, fire. And they just obliterated this guy right in front of my face. We're going, hey, I mean, that's a real epiphany on the value of human life over in that part of the world. Didn't have any value. So you get the other stark realizations that, boy, this is serious. Okay, another story.
Huh.
We weren't allowed to fly T-28s with bombs on board. We were over there. As I say, at any one time there were only 15 of us military in Laos and doing the job of about 500 forward air patrols. We could fly T-28s on some missions. In my case, I lived and supported Savannah-Ket, which is, if you think of Laos being shaped like a comet, down in the tail of the comet is the area that I was working in. And it's real skinny from the Mekong, which is the western border of Laos, to the border by the DMZ. Is only about 45 miles wide. And the type of stuff that I would go for were the engineering battalions, the guys who repaired the trail, who repaired the trucks. These are the guys I went after. And I had ways of finding them like that in one situation. Go overhead and call this command or something. So a CIA guy who's in the field operating with the brigade guerrilla unit kept leaving messages to me in the morning. I go into the vault, and there would be 5 or 6 targets that I was supposed to go look for today, and I go out there and check them out. Occasionally we would put in airstrikes, and occasionally let the T-28s do it on their own. But he kept saying there's a tank in this area, there's a tank in there. And the guerrilla unit and the infantry hate tanks. I mean, that's just scares the heck out of them. This tank is in this neighborhood. And I go in there, and I didn't see any tank tracks anywhere. Tuesday comes by, a tank in this vicinity, same area. I go and check it out, and nothing. Wednesday goes by, a tank in this area. Okay, I've had enough. So I had 4 rockets left on the aircraft, late evening, getting ready to go home. So I decided to go and use those 4 rockets. I dropped down on top of this one trail road. There's dirt, and there's a village about 3 miles up ahead. And I got the airplane up to proper speed where it was perfectly level, and I fired off 1 rocket at a time down the road. I'm only about 10, 15 feet off the road. Dust the road off. Just obliterate all tracks for about 2 straight miles. Went home. Come back the next morning. And I'm back down over the top of this road, about 10, 15 feet off the road, and got my window up, got my head out there, flying along, and looking at tracks. I'm seeing 6 sets of tracks going south to north, and 5 sets going north to south, and diagonally across the road. And there's a stream right next to the road, or trail. And all of a sudden, tracers look right by my head, through the propeller. Didn't hit anything. My mind's racing 100 miles an hour. We Ravens, what we did when we got shot at is the worst thing you can do. Bullets come from here is to turn away from it, because you're increasing the land flow. Pulling up. It's just like shooting geese. We went down. And it's an unnatural act to go ahead and lead anything downhill. Body geometry is all wrong. And so, boom, I went down. Well, I only had 10 feet left. I hit that road. My sprung steel gear in front just yanked away, my propellers down the road, and I'm picking up this big old cloud of dust, debris and dirt, and this river comes right up next to me, and I ruddered over there and went down, dropped down another couple of feet, and all that was left was my tail going down, and then the side. this area that was shooting from. I got out of there, looked around, thought, okay, damn, Darwin, survival of the fittest. That guy doesn't deserve to live. You know, if he didn't get me, he's not good enough. He deserves to go down. So T-28s just have to be in that. It turns out the weapons were fired from what I thought was a cemetery. Well, T-28s show up, as Buddhists. No, I'm not going to hit that cemetery. So they hit the outskirts. And I uncovered about 6 or 7 tunnels and bunkers. Then some Air Force fighters come in. The Air Force fighter pilots have no qualm about hitting anywhere the fighter border patrol tells them. So we started whittling away at this cemetery. I asked my backseater, "You used to live in that village 3 or 4 miles up ahead?" "Yeah." "Is there a cemetery west of there?" He said, "Oh no, sir. It's actually in the city." Ah. So we started putting in the F-4s, and they started bombing away. Tunnels and tunnels, and bunkers and bunkers. All I saw were 2 sets of pajamas. Guys who probably got wounded and being drugged back into shrubs and so forth. And so I set in about 15 sets of fighters in that 2-hour period, all from previous bombers, and I didn't have to use any smoke rockets. I went home, refueled, came back, and put some more in. Then I got bored, went home. And I only gave battle damage assessment of 2 possible wounded in action for this whole thing. Well, fast forward about a month and a half, and it is now our turn to throw the party in Savannah Cap. And so the ambassador called up and said, 2 beers. You guys, the 2 of you are allowed to have 2 beers. Don't get in any extended conversation with anybody. Everybody knows who you are. You just can't say who you are. So don't get involved in anything. Stand back. Let them have a fun. So there's this one guy, English-speaking fella. He was in the Lao American School in Savannah, and he was an English professor. He was a long-haired hippie draft dodger. He came to Laos to avoid the draft. And he's in here, and when this guy got drunk, he had a common tendency, he talked with his hands. His hands got higher and higher as he was talking away. And he's looking like an orangutan there, drunk as could be, saying, "There is no Vietnamese in Laos, and why are you all here?" And going on and on and on and on. And we're just letting him go ahead and play on with his thing. Well, Continental Air Service was now fit. They ran the POW camps, and there was one in the vicinity. And these 2 gentlemen in suits were at the party with the 3rd Oriental looking guy, and I didn't think much of it. And this guy, in the center of these 2 cast guys, looked around the party and said, "May I say something?" In perfect English, "May I say something, please?" And 2 guys said, "Sure, go ahead." He turns right around and points at me. He says, "You I would kill. You I would torture." And he walks out. Turns out he was a North Vietnamese major who defected. He had a unit that was in charge of maintenance of the trails and the trucks. And he had been telling these guys, a brand new unit coming down from North Vietnam to settle in the Savannah area 2 months earlier. And he'd tell them all the way down the trail, "Don't shoot at the little bird. Don't shoot at the bird dog. Don't shoot at the L-19. Don't shoot at the O-1. Don't shoot at the Raven." And repeat, and wash and repeat. And these guys were told not to shoot at us until the airstrike started. They'd shoot. Well, one guy popped up out of his bunker, innocent, fired at me. They thought they hit me. They thought they hit me. And they're all standing up yelling and cheering and everything, and all of a sudden the T-28s rolled in and took a couple of them out. And he says, in the ensuing 3-hour period, I lost 85% of my troops.
Wow.
He said, I couldn't go back to the north because they would execute me for lack of discipline of my troops. Here I was, just moseying on down the road, paying my own attention and set it off. I didn't even know I decimated 80% of his unit.
Wow.
It's just, you know, little things of combat over there.
Sounds like you're being overrun by jets.
Where there's one, there's two.
Why don't they always have these talks at air shows? I don't understand.